Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review the final, hallelujah, final episode of this season of Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is season 14. I think this is episode 20. I really do. Let me check. Y'all know I be checking my notes. Oh, actually, this is episode 19. But we done. So let's get into it. A little spicy before we get into the review. So the first thing is and this was reported today on B. Scott. He actually posted this screenshot, so y'all can definitely check out his blog site. And it says, exclusive, The Real Housewives of Atlanta season 15 begins filming Monday. All the ladies will return, plus Janelle Steffen is set to join the cast. So I googled who Janelle Steffens is, and basically what I found is Janelle Steffens is the founder of Camilla Rose Naturals. Started her company to solve her children's aggressive skin ailments. A former therapist and mother of 5, it all began in the early 2010 when Steffens became horrified at the list of ingredients in skin and hair care products for children. So she's a mom of 5, a therapist, and she has her own business. I mean, she has great accomplishments in the sense of starting her own business, being a former therapist. She could relate to the ladies being a mom because all of them have children. Even Marlo, she a Monty. But I don't know if this lady is going to bring the spice that we need. Another YouTube mutual, and y'all should check her out, and I'll put her name down below. Her name is Bee Sting. She has a channel, and she did a video calling it, I think it's like her sound off on Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I think it's a great video, so y'all should go check it out. But it's she gave her thoughts on what needs to happen or who needs to be a part of Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I agree because I think she said Tamika Foster, which I don't know, that might be somebody else. But the lady's name is Tamika. Usher's ex-wife, the older lady, she was also on Hollywood Exes with Monyetta, the Atlanta version. And she was spicy. She was with it. And I do agree with Bee Sting. I feel like she would be a good addition to the show because she would bring the antics. She would bring it. This right here, I don't know if this lady gonna bring it. She giving very much kumbaya, my lord. And I don't know, we don't need that. We don't need that. And the next thing we're gonna talk about is Potomac. I dragged about Giselle and how Karen, Wendy, and them had things to say. So I'd be messed up if I didn't talk about their confessional looks that came out and what the people had to say. So there was a picture posted on All True Tea, and it was some of the confessionals for the ladies. Baby, the only person that ate was Mia. Mia was the only person that ate. I don't know. Candace, no. Candace's outfit looks pedestrian. The fox locks that she have in her head, they are right, but the eyeliner she has in her crease is giving clown. I don't know why. And the lips, no ma'am. Karen look a mess. Oh God. And she's been doing good lately with her reunion looks, but it's the clip-on ponytail that she has behind her hair, it's way blonder than what she has. At the top, it looks like a wheat blonde, and in the back, it looks like a straight up 613. And then the only person, like I said, Mia ate. Mia looks really chic in this picture, and I said, my lord. So then Mia retweeted this on Twitter where she said, "Chow, no words, did y'all know at Claire's was still selling clip-in buns?" And that was a dig at Karen because me and Karen got beef this season. And she goes, hashtag 75% off sale. I said, dang. The ladies are coming with the shade, and I'm here for it. I'm here for the shenanigans. I feel like they're going to give me zest, the spice and the zest that I need, that I was missing for Roa. But let's get into Miss Roa, y'all. So I was bored. I don't understand why they had a part 3. Like I said in my last reunion video, in part 2, there was no need. This was not needed, and mainly because it didn't really add anything to me. It just was the same same rigmarole. It was the same thing. So the episode opens up and we're still having Sheree versus Drew, and they're going back and forth and they're arguing about Anthony. You know, Anthony is on FaceTime on Sheree's phone. And here's my thing. Basically, Drew and Sheree got played by Anthony. Drew was able to give Anthony screen time and airtime that he probably wanted, as well as he got screen time and airtime like during the show and on the reunion because Sheree FaceTimed him and they even showed him. So it's just kind of like he got what he wanted, and y'all just look stupid because he said the same thing about both of them, saying like he told Drew that Sheree don't pay nobody and that he she skimped one of his good girlfriends, and he basically played Drew because Drew had him on the show, as well as he even said that Sheree needed a storyline. Then you flip that because they did confront him on the recording about on the recording Drew played about what he thought about Sheree and saying that Sheree needed a storyline. You flip it to now Sheree has him on FaceTime and he's pretty much saying the exact same thing, and even admitting that he might have said that Drew's husband was gay, basically saying he did say Drew's husband was gay, as well as saying that Drew needed a storyline. So it's like they both got played. And Drew was trying so hard to be she was just doing too much, trying to be well, I talk to Anthony every day. Someone even said you need to delete him out your phone. Both of y'all need to. And what's it called? They then start arguing about the whole bill about Kenya and Marlo's party. And what it says to me is that there was a budget, Drew went over budget, and Sheree don't want to pay the amount they went over budget because they agreed to a certain budget. I get that, but if the consensus is out there on Sheree that she don't pay people, if I was Sheree, I would just chalk it to the game and pay the girl and go on. Because you already have this issue with Drew going around spreading this rumor that you don't be paying people, and now it kind of looks like you don't be paying people because you don't pay her no more. So then Drew is like, I'm now an investor in She by Sheree. So then Sheree tries to combat that by saying, well, you don't pay people either. And then because Marlo got an email, and Marlo's like, no, I got a DM. So then they show unseen footage of when Marlo and Kenya got into it, and Marlo joked about Kenya's messed up wig. And Marlo basically showed a DM of basically a chef saying that Drew didn't pay her and that she was cheap. And Drew was like, I don't even know who that lady is, and I don't do this, and this. So it's they gave you kind of the convenience of showing you this information and not dragging it out for you, and you couldn't do the same for Sheree. So it's just kind of take your L. Take your L. You got played by Anthony, and Sheree got played by Anthony, because ultimately he was the one that won because he was on the show. So then they start talking about Fatum, because Drew is really harping on the fact that about the whole gay thing, about Ralph being gay. And my thing is, I actually agree with Sheree. So you gonna believe everything that, if I'm not supposed to believe everything that Anthony is saying, then why, basically, if I'm not supposed to believe everything that Anthony is saying, then why do you believe everything Anthony is saying about me? That was Sheree to Drew. And I agreed with that. If we're not all supposed to believe what Anthony is saying, then why are we just believing bits and pieces of what he's saying? I was like, that's stupid. That is totally stupid, bro. So they get on Fatum. And I was glad that Sonya spoke up, because Sonya was like, no, everyone believed that Drew was well within her right to be upset. Even I thought she was, it was okay for her to be upset, but it was your anger is misdirected. You should be mad at Anthony, not Fatum, because Fatum was just putting it out there that bro, your husband, he's saying your husband gay. Why he going around telling you Sheree don't pay people? And so then they talk about the background check, and a lot of the ladies say, yeah, that was a bit much. And Sheree was like, I didn't tell her to get it, but yeah, that was a bit much. And Drew was like, well, why didn't you tell her in that moment? I was like, Drew, shut up. They said the background check wasn't right. But then she didn't make sense when she was like, oh, Ralph is a junior, and all those names that were coming up were like others because there's like a senior and all of that. And then Ralph's dad has a wife. Her name is, I think she said something like Diana or Deborah. But I was like, Deborah and Diana are nowhere near the name Danielle because they said that the alias name was Danielle. So I'm like, you're getting caught in a lie, ma'am. You're getting caught in a lie. I was like, that doesn't make sense to me, Drew. That really doesn't make sense to me. I was like, okay. So they wrap. They're going to introduce the men. And so we see the men. We see Todd, Ross, and Ralph. I thought it was cute that Ross brung Asanya flowers, and they're all talking to him, saying like, you ready for whatever's going out there. Todd is really trying to coach them, but honestly, he was talking to Ralph because he was like, oh, you about to get it. Because Ralph showed his ass this whole entire season, and Ross really didn't do much. He didn't say no more than 2 words. No more than 2 words. So the men come out. I thought the guys looked good. I really liked Todd's suits. I think it was, I don't know if it was Gucci or something like that or whatever. No, he had on a Gucci shirt. But I thought it was cute with the staining of gold on the black. It just looked really nice on him. They asked Ross the same question they asked Sonya. Like, how do you feel being on the show? He said, it was like a learning curve, but he enjoyed everybody. They then talk about how Kenya called him aggressive. And he was like taken aback by it because he doesn't think he was being aggressive. He felt like he was being like assertive. Kenya takes the word back. She said, maybe that's not the word I should have said, but like basically she was like, I don't have no issues with you. I did think it was admirable for you to stand up for your wife. And Ross was like, thank you for that. And they moved on because I think Kenya used the wrong word by saying aggressive. She probably should have said like he was doing like, because he did kind of do too much because it wasn't needed, but I don't think aggressive was the right word. But I do think it was nice that they were able to have that Kenya and Ross were able to have a civil conversation and it not ending like arguing because it seems like they both respect each other. So it was a nice conversation. They then get on Candy. They talk about her wanting an EGOT. And I think that's great. That's something that she wants to aspire to. She has the G. All she needs is an Emmy, which is daytime, like TV. And then Tony is plays, and she's working on that with her play. And then what's the other? Emmy, Tony, Oscar. So she would have to either be in a movie or be a part of the production of a movie in some in a large role in a large capacity. But we find out she's doing a play called The Piano Man. Samuel L. Jackson's on there. If you don't know, that's one of my favorite actors. I don't know. He just gives uncle vibes, like cool uncle at the party that will slide you like $20 to go get him some drinks go get him some liquor at the store, tell you to keep the change. Samuel Jackson just gives that vibe that he's a fun person to be around at a barbecue. So he's in it. I think she said Danielle Brooks. Was she Tasty in Orange is the New Black? She has a really beautiful singing voice. She looked beautiful on her wedding day though. Like I said, and her daughter, I think they had a daughter. Her and her husband had a baby, and the little girl, I think it's a little, she is adorable. The little girl is just good, just beautiful chocolate skin, just beautiful skin. And then she said somebody, I think she said like Isaiah Jackson or something like that. Or somebody Jackson. But they have like a really good lineup. And her and Todd are producing on it together. They asked Todd about why he treats Kayla differently from Riley and stuff like that. He gives the old archetype about struggle, which is stupid because Kayla shouldn't be struggling. Like your parents shouldn't have to teach. Like I shouldn't know struggle if you married to somebody with money. I shouldn't. Like I get what he's trying to instill in her. And at this point, she's in her 20s, so there's no need for you to try to instill that in her now. She has it. She clearly has great work ethic and ambition because she's working in production. She has her own apartment. She's really living her life the best positive way. So it's like, at this point, spoil your child. Do that now. They then talk about, what else? Oh, They then talk about the whole thing about the will and how Todd was like, oh, I thought Candy didn't want me to marry because she was possessive and loved me. And she was like, no, I do love you. But then she kind of gave background information where she said her grandmother died and the father remarried, and then the grandfather died, and then it was like the step grandma kind of had control of everything, and I guess they didn't have a great relationship with her, so she doesn't want that to happen. And I was like, that made more. I wish she would have said that sooner, like in the show, because then it would give context to being like, oh, okay, like, girl, you done seen the worst. So I get it. But they brushed on from that. It was well, then they get to Ralph. This is who I really want to talk about, his peanut headed ass. All right. So we get on Ralph and Drew's segment. Oh, and Todd fixed up the New Jersey apartment. It looked nice. I wouldn't want to stay there because I like rooms. Like, I like dimensions and stuff. But I do think they did a great job. Like, compared to what it looked like when we saw it in the actual season to now, they did a great job. And so let's get on Ralph and Drew. So they start talking about Ralph and Drew, and they show a montage of how much of an asshole Ralph is to Drew. And in this segment, it just felt like Ralph had already pre-planned answers. And I'm not saying at the reunion you're not supposed to come ready, because you are. You have all this time to like collect your data, your evidence, and your facts. So when it comes time for you to get on this stage and debate and argue with your opponents, you're ready to throw out that draw 4 on them, you know what I'm saying? Or that draw 2, or that reverse, or that skip, or something like that. Like, you're ready for that. My issue with Ralph is that, it was too rehearsed, where it was like, if somebody, he didn't know how to, pivot to something else. So it felt like he wrote down a script and he was trying to remember his lines. And like I've been telling y'all, I feel like Ralph and Drew, especially Drew, are playing characters of what they think people want to see on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like, one of my Twitter mutuals posted a while ago, and I don't know if I talked about it in my videos, how Ralph was on that one season of Marriage Boot Camp when it was all Bridezillas, and he was actually flirting. It was like one of the what do they call them? Is it not a task? What is it called, y'all? It's not a trial. We'll call it for a trial because I can't think of the word. They were having one of the flirting trials where they basically set one partner up, and the other person can watch them from the from the camera. And the guy was watching Ralph and his wife talk, and he got so mad that he walked out and shoved Ralph in the pool because he just felt like it was going on too long. And it's so Ralph is an actor as well, so it's they're both playing characters of themselves. I don't know if they're playing characters of themselves, but I just feel like they do stunts in shows. They really do. They give me very much stunts in shows. And so in this segment, it just felt really it felt weird to me, because it's every time someone he was asked a question, he came back with something, and you could see the wheel turning, the hamster running on the wheel, trying to get him to say things. And it wasn't a normal way of when you're trying to process a question and really think before you speak. It was okay, I knew he was going to ask this question, so I was going to hit him with this so we could move on. It gave very much I was ready for these answers, or maybe they gave them to him. So they asked him about the whole gaslighting thing and how he feels about his behavior. He said that he was wrong for treating his wife that way. He should have never been speaking to her that way, and watching it that way. Watching it back made him realize how disrespectful he was being. I call BS. They then talk about, what were they talking about? Then him and Sheree get into it, because they talk about the whole gay thing. And he was and Sheree's why are you mad at me and not at Anthony? And he was well, you were being derogatory, talking about the whole dildo thing. And I was yeah, you were being derogatory, Sheree. Sheree was being, Sheree did a lot of backpedaling and pussy popping. this season, especially on this reunion, because she was asked about, saying that she heard things about Todd in the streets when they were having the whole conversation about Todd being out there and doing things he ain't got no business doing. And when they asked her, she was like, well, no, I ain't never really heard anything about what Todd been doing. So I was like, so why would you say it? She's like, I was just piggybacking off of what Marlo said. At that point, girl, shut up. Then when they talk about the whole Candy being called a hoe and like she should be used to it now, and Sheree was like, oh, I was just talking, girl. And then the dildo comment, it was just like, Sheree, own the things that you say. Either don't say them or stand in them. Either way, just be quiet, ma'am. Cause why? So then Sheree was like, I never called you gay, and I don't know if you're gay. And he, like, I think Ralph said something about like, yeah, because I told you, he was like, you should know I'm not gay. You know I'm not gay. And she was like, I don't know you're not gay, but I never called you gay. And I said, she got a point. She don't know if he not gay or not, and she never called him gay. Her friend did, but you still were a part of it. So it's just kind of like, Sheree. So they then get on the conversation of drop it with Drew. Then Sheree and Drew get into this whole thing. Drop it with who? Drop it with who? And she's like, drop it with you. It sounded so stupid. I was so annoyed by both of them at this point. Drew stands up and she has a like Freudian slip where she's like, I'm not even going to tell you how much weight I've lost, but it's between 50 and 20 pounds. And so Sheree's like, you lost 50 pounds? And even Candy said, you lost 50 pounds? And she's like, no, I didn't say 50. And I was like, and I rewound it. I said, you did say 50. Oh, she said, I meant 15 to 20. I said, see, ma'am, are you forgetting your lines too? So then Drew was like, she kind of felt some type of way that the ladies weren't like supporting her. And this is my thing. And I agree with Candy. It wasn't making sense. Why would I put my backing behind something that does not make sense to me? And that's the thing. It didn't make sense to them. Like, no one knew that this business was like, you made it like even Kenya said, you made it seem like you created this when it was like, you were just the face of the product. And I'm like, yeah, you made it seem like you created it, but you didn't. You were the face of the product. You had a mommy makeover. And then all of a sudden you started working out. They then started talking about the whole busted can of biscuits comment. And I was like, I get it. It was disrespectful. But my thing about Drew is like, you're lying. It's false advertisement. There's nothing wrong with Drew wanting to be a part of a workout program. They definitely could have marketed this workout program as like, okay, as someone who got surgery, this is how you maintain your body, because it is hard. Like, just because you get surgery, whether it be like lap band or BBL, lipo, or anything dealing with weight loss, it like you can gain all that weight back. So it's not like a permanent fix. Like, you have to learn and train your mindset of working out and like toning and honing your body. And if she would have led with that, I think the ladies would have support her a lot quicker. And then for her to be like, I did this for my health. And it's like, she always pivots back to like, I'm doing things for my health. I had a mommy makeover for my health. And And it's like, okay, bro, you had a mommy makeover. No one's faulting you for having a mommy makeover. No one's saying that for health reasons, like, you were struggling with weight loss. No one's mad at you about that. What people are saying is it was sus for you to be out here marketing this as like a weight loss program. Like, it really helped you lose all that weight when you sat on somebody's table and they sucked the fat out your ass. Okay? Like, I was just like, Drew, shut up. So the final thing they talked about, because I really don't care at the end. They did their little things at the end where they were all like, I got to work on this. I'm happy about this. I'm excited about this, and yada, yada, yada. I don't care. Let's move on to season 15 and hopefully they show improve. But the whole adoption thing, and I was on the side, I was on Ralph's side in the beginning where I was just like, if he doesn't feel comfortable adopting Josiah, then he should not be forced to do it, because it might not be a positive experience for the little boy. Because at the end of the day, that's the only person that really matters in this situation. And then I saw other people's reviews, what's it called? James Caldwell and Erica De Niro. And they both said the same thing where they were like, it sounds like he does not want to adopt Josiah because he wants to have a clean break. And then I was listening to L. Teddy. Y'all should check out his channel as well, where he spoke about like we were on a panel together where he was like, it seems like he wants a clean break, because if he does adopt Josiah, he would have to pay child support for Josiah and the 2 biological children that he has had with Drew. So I was like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I was trying to give Ralph the benefit of the doubt, but you should never give these men the benefit of the doubt, because this part of the reunion, I was like, oh yeah, they were all 3 of them spot on with Ralph, because when he was trying to think of the reasons of why he shouldn't adopt Josiah, 1, because he was like, if the child doesn't want it. I think 2, he was like, if the father doesn't want it and is in the picture, 2, you should adopt. If like, no, crap. It was like 1, if the child wants to. 2, I think he was like, if the father isn't a part of the child's life or doesn't want it. And then the last one, he was like trying to think. And I was like, he's trying to process like Patrick, that dumbfounded look that people use as a meme to Patrick going, it gave very much that. I was like, oh my gosh. And then he called Josiah's Drew's son, and I was like, don't make him adopt that boy, dude, because he don't even see that child as his own, even though he's been in Josiah's life since he was like 3 or 2. And it's like, if he doesn't see that little boy as his by this time, then he ain't gonna never see that little boy as his kid, and he should not have the rights to adopt him or have any like agents, like any rights to that kid. Like, I was like, oh, so you just really like, but you can make, and that's the thing, like, why are you making a book about him if you don't see him as your kid? It's just a quick money grab. And then to try to gaslight Drew, to be like, he told Drew, and I'm looking at Drew like, girl, you should fight for him not to write about your child and you. It's just I can't. They both work my nerves. But that's all I can give y'all. Really, that's all I can give y'all. I thought this season was decent. I would give it like a C. I think this reunion was a D. Like borderline a D-. Like we on the cusp of an F, because it was lackluster. It didn't really add anything to the show. It was pretty much, let's help Marlo save her peach. And it was too much time on Marlo and not enough time on other topics. They didn't even talk about what happened in Blue Ridge. It's just like, this is stupid. This is stupid. It just wasn't worth it. I'm hoping season 15 would be better. And going forward, that we get a little bit more. I had a conversation with someone on Twitter, and I said, what's missing from from Roa is there's no ditzy comic relief. Like, there's no spark. Like, I think we have a decent cast, but there's no spark. Like, nobody's funny to me anymore. Like, I didn't like Portia, but Portia gave me laughable moments. Even with Nene gave me laughable moments. There weren't that many this season, and I think it's just something is missing, and maybe they just need to add a new person or something, but something is missing. I don't think they should throw the whole cast away, but I just feel like we got to get better. Like, I hope season 15 is better. I hope it brings back a little bit of the spark, because I know not a show is not going to be the same as it was in the beginning to what it is now, but I'm hoping that it'll get better. Season 15. But yeah, y'all, thank you for riding with me from episode 1 all the way to the reunion, to the last episode. Drop down in the comments below. And yeah, remember to be bravely authentic. Deuces.